Hello and welcome our beloved viewers to RTG's News English edition. As usual, we'll begin tonight's news with the major and top highlights. The head of state presides over the first Council of Ministers of the year 2022. And in the international scenes, the United States places 885,000 soldiers on high alert. Those were the major top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. Under the chairmanship of His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, the President of the Republic, head of government, took place this Tuesday, January 25th, 2022, the first session of the Council of Ministers. The following texts were examined and approved. Let's listen.
The chairmanship of the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, was held the first session of the Council of Ministers of the year 2022. Was on the agenda four issues. The first issues concern a bill on the organization and functioning of the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development. The environment sector has undergone significant development with the consideration of emerging issues such as climate change, biodiversity, and pollution. It is therefore proposed to strengthen the issues and institutional structure for environment management. The second mission, which is to entrust these new ministries and that of development of the green and blue economic, youth, women, and the private sector. Therefore, it is essential to strengthen and to transform the Sub-Directorate of Sustainable Development into a full-fledged directorate with expanded competence and appropriate means. It is equally important to strengthen the development of the Ministry's new communication technologies. For this reason, it is proposed to restructure the former Directorate of Training, Documentation and Communication by adding the ET department and moving the training department to the administrative and financial directorate. The adoption of this new organization chart will have a very limited financial impact since it is planned to create only one new directorate, namely the Directorate of Sustainable Development. The second question concerns a draft law on the organization of the Secretariat of State for Investment in Private Sector Development as part of the promotion and development of investments in the private sector. The formation of a new government on May 24, 2021 was marked by the creation of a Secretariat of State for Investment in Private Sector Development. Our country, as part of its ambition reforms program, is working to attract investment, which remains a vector of a growth in economic development and which is reflected in job creation. The transfer of the skills, technology, and wealth, the Secretariat of State in charge of investment and private sector development is in charge of designing the national policy of investment and private sector development in order to establish a clear, logical framework to undertake concrete action in the coming years. The present bills concern the organization of the Secretariat of State in charge of investment and private sector development and defines by its administrative functioning in respect of its attributions.
Let's listen to the second part of the Council of Ministers.
Un projet de décret portant adoption du plan.
The third question relates to a draft decree adoption, the 2022-2024 National Action Plan of the National Disability Strategy for the period 2021-2025. This National Action Plan of 2022 and 2024 of the National Strategy on Disability has been developed in a particularly participatory and inclusive framework involving sectorial ministries, public institutions, organizations representing people with disabilities, including the national network of resources and people with disabilities, so that the needs of people with disabilities can be taken into account effectively and fully in all areas of life. These action plans include a series of activities that were discussed and validated during a workshop that was therefore held on July 1st, 2021 at the People's Palace. The operational cost of the National Action Plan of 2022-2024 amounts to 2,166,000,000 Djibouti francs. The fourth question and the fourth issue is related to a draft decree amending the modalities of registrations of vehicles under the regime of temporary admission in accordance with Article 14 of the regulatory part of the Highway Code, which had not provided for the period of validity concerning the category of vehicles benefiting from registration in the temporary series. It is noted that the beneficiaries abuse these methods to benefit from these exemptions forever. Therefore, this decree aims to stabilize a validity period for the temporary registration of vehicles. In this perspective, the period of validity of registration in order to facilitate the control to the agent of the road policy was to thus fixed in the present decree fixed this temporary period of validity within the framework of the code of the road, and as well as the sanction which will apply to the provision of the present decree project. Finally, on the issues of the regional and communal election, that the mandate of regional and communal councillors will end on February 27, 2022. The Minister of Interior announced that the dates retained for the next communal and regional election are February 5, 2022 for the submission of lists. The first round will be held on March 11, and the second round of election, in case of a second round, this second round will be held on April 1st, 2022.
During the day of Tuesday, January 25, 2022, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of General Staff of the Armed Forces, proceeded to a presentation of stripes for the seagoing personnel of the National Navy. Indeed, following the acquisition of a barge and 3 patrol boats, 2 of 53 meters and 1 of 26 meters, it was undeniable to proceed to their implementation to Djibouti. The objective of this ceremony is to reward our valiant sailors who piloted the ships from the port of Cape Town in South Africa to Djibouti. A long journey of 17 days, during which our sailors have fought against winds and tides to bring the ships to port without incidents. Thus, this day is dedicated to their courage, professionalism, and sense of duty. This demonstrates the level of competence and experience acquired over the years. From now on, this means will allow our Navy to maintain maritime security, to ensure the projection of our forces, and to participate in the fight against piracy and the protection of the merchant fleet. Welcomed at the Quay 1 by the Colonel Ahmed Dahir Jama', Commander of the National Navy, the General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim carried out the review of the troops. The ceremony was attended by the Brigadier General Tahir Ali Muhammad, Chief of Defense Staff, Colonel Abdullahi Abdi Farah, Director General of the National Police, Colonel Wa'ez Umar Boghore, Commander of the Coast Guard, and senior officials of the Djiboutian Armed Forces.
وراسي عدوي قديو
troops, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, proceeded to the decoration of the sailors. First, Lieutenant Colonel Nidal Ghalib Mubarak, head of the 1st Bureau, read the presidential decree of promotion to the higher rank. Within the framework of the ADF's development, the National Navy has not ceased to invest in its infrastructures and in the training of its personnel in qualitative ways. This has resulted in an unprecedented level of competence among the personnel of the French Navy. From now on, these ships will be acquired in the French Navy. This means will allow our Navy to maintain maritime security, to ensure the projection of our forces, and to participate in the fight against piracy and the protection of the merchant fleet.
Capitaine Abdurrahman Bile Hashim, Capitaine Hassan Hussein Bile, au grade de capitaine, Lieutenant Saad Suleiman Ahmed, Lieutenant Maher Mohamed Abdul Galil, au grade de lieutenant, Sous-lieutenant Mahad Mohamed Ouaïs, Sous-lieutenant Hassan Abdullahi Ali. À titre exceptionnel et à compter du 1er janvier 2022, au grade de commandant, capitaine Mohamed Hamadou Youssouf. Au grade de capitaine, lieutenant Meher Absouma Mohamed Kaloita. Au grade de lieutenant, sous-lieutenant Soubane Omar Hussein.
On the sidelines of the ceremony, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim expressed his warm congratulations to the recipients. General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim said that this ceremony of awarding stripes is the fruit of your hard work and efforts made on a daily basis to fulfill your duties. However, the Chief of General Staff of the Armed Forces stressed that these new ships will have to be subjected to daily attention and monitoring in order to keep their operationality. Maintenance must be regular. This is the flagship of the French Navy and must be preserved in the best conditions and for as long as possible. In the continuity of the day, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of General Staff of the Armed Forces, went to the Directorate General of International Relations, where another ceremony of awarding straps of infantry officers was scheduled. This promotion to the rank of senior officers concerned officers from different corps and formations of the Djiboutian Armed Forces. Welcome by the Lieutenant Colonel Ibrahim Zakaria Sheikh, Director General of International Relations. General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim reviewed the troops. The ceremony was attended by Brigadier General Tahir Ali Mohammed, Chief of Defense Staff Colonel Mohammed Jami' Douale, Commander of the Republican Guard Colonel Abdullahi Abdi Farah, Director General of the National Police Colonel Wa'as Omar Boghri, Commander of the Coast Guard, and senior officials of the Djiboutian Armed Forces. At the end of the review of troops, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim proceeded to the decoration of officers from different corps and formations of the Djiboutian Armed Forces. First, Colonel Nidal Ghalib Umkak, head of the First Bureau, read the presidential decree of promotion to the highest rank. This promotion to the higher rank testifies to the seriousness and self-sacrifice of these officers in the exercise of their duty. Each in his field of competence, proud of their performance, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim wanted to show them his satisfaction through the ceremony. As it's customary, all the promoted officers were invited to a breakfast offered by the military command. The family photo closed this beautiful day.
كابتن محمود حسين عمر، كابتن محمد سعيد غوبلي، وقاد كابتن لوتنو محمد أمين محمد.
Hubkan qaaday qalabkan sidii qoriganigu gaadhan. Hubkan qaaday qalabkan sidii qoriganigu gaadhan. Qorfa iyo waraaq waxaa iga riday qowya iyo buuro. Qorfa iyo waraaq waxaa iga riday qowya iyo buuro. Qorraxdiyo kulaylkan u baxay abowga iyo dhaxanta. Raaxada waxaan uga qadee gooni ii qoolay. Raaxada waxaan uga qadee gooni ii qoolay. Qorraxdiyo kulaylkan u baxay abowga iyo dhaxanta. Raaxada waxaan uga qadee gooni ii qoolay. Raaxada waxaan
To close the ceremony, all participants were able to listen to a song by the group Harbi, emphasizing that it is through cohesion, unity, love of country, and sacrifice that we can achieve sustainable development. Let's listen together to an extract of the song. The Training Center for Teachers of Basic Education, Umar Gali Ahmad, organized last Thursday a field trip for student teachers for the discipline of Life Science and Earth, which is also called as SVT. About 20 student teachers led by their subject trainees went to the site of Lac Assal to visit the various geological sites as part of the field trip. The objective of this visit was to acquire new knowledge while having fun, the student teachers being all together in a completely different environment, the students discovering new skills in geological sites. It must be said that field trips for students teachers contribute to giving meaning to learning by encouraging direct contact with the natural or cultural environment. During the field trip, the students' teachers were able to observe the geological transformation and the geological potential of the region. It should be noted that on the site of Lake Assal, the heat, wind, and light were given appointment to create a show in the unique landscape. Following the emergence of new variants of COVID-19 in our country, and to respond to the call for mobilization of the Ministry of Health, for collaboration and a massive awareness of the population, the various units of the Gendarmerie have conducted awareness campaigns in public places and state institutions most frequented to enforce the measures against this pandemic. The first phase of provision was focused on the interests of Bawadi Mall, a commercial site very frequented by residents. The the Justice Court, and the National Treasury. Within the framework of this mission, the gendarmes offered free masks to the visitors and users to raise awareness on the consequences of this pandemic. In addition, the gendarmes of Ali Sibih Brigade made a raid in the city center for this region to sensitize users to wear masks and to protect themselves against this epidemic. Finally, the gendarmeries of district of Balbala invited the neighborhood chiefs to inform them of the increase of positive cases in the Republic of Djibouti and to recommend them to make community sensitizations in order to respect the barrier gestures, while insisting on the compulsory wearing of the mask. Thus, the gendarmerie, concerned about the welfare of the population, is available at all times and in all places to spread the messages of health authorities to mitigate this pandemic, which is called COVID-19. Within the framework of the daily statement issued by the Ministry of Health on the current epidemiological situation with COVID-19, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Saleh Bonita Turab, announced the number of diagnosed cases and said that 23 new cases of the virus were recorded today, while 45 people recovered. No deaths were recorded. 842 people vaccinated themselves at the conclusion of the statement. Dr. Saleh Bonita urged citizens to receive vaccination and adhere to preventive measures against this epidemic. Shifting gears towards the international scene now to the United States. Increased the pressure on Moscow. According to the Pentagon spokesman, 8,500 troops have been placed on alert and could be deployed with NATO troops in the event of a Russian invasion of Ukraine. President Joe Biden met by video conference Monday evening with the leaders of France, Germany, Italy, Poland, and the United Kingdom, as well as NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, Council President Charles Michel, and the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Well, by this hour, beloved viewers, we conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening and take care. Thank you.